Don't say it's exciting. Don't say it's Ty introduced the grade 10 set. Excitement. We're doing water movement in plants. Shame, hun, you need to get out more.
I was trying to just get them to just make sure that they pay attention, because that's the thing we always want.
They're paying attention to you. I think that's the only reason they tune in here is, ooh.
No, not even. They know. All I get, the entire show, they never say anything to me.
He's actually blushing here. I could. It's radiating.
But anyway.
Introduce us. Hi, grade 11.
Hi, guys. Welcome to this grade 11 life science session.
Thank God it's not going to be exciting.
It's going to be fun, though, as we always have fun. So, tell us what's happening today.
We're going to go through secondary thickening, okay, because there were a couple of learners that indicated that they had a bit of a problem with that. And then also we're going through immunity again, because somehow somebody thought it was really important and they put it as a separate session. So we're going to do immunity ad nauseum. If you don't know it by the time we finish today and you don't understand secondary thickening, I'm going to bury my head in the Sahara. In fact, the Sahara is probably an option because it's getting chilly here.
Yes, it's so cold.
Oh, yeah.
But while you're heading over there...
Hang on, and something else. While I'm standing here with Ty, you see I'm armed today. I'm armed for education. To give power...
To the mind.
To the learners.
Mindsetters.
To the learners. To our learners. Not just any learner, our learners. Guys, on Facebook, please, let me know what you're battling with, and let's deal with this as a revision session as well. I'm quite open to that too. We're going to go through secondary thickening. Exciting stuff.
Okay. While she makes her way over there, you guys know the drill. As she said, get on the page, www.facebook.com/learnextra. Get chatting to me. I can't help you if you don't help yourself. So help yourself by getting your questions on the page and get chatting to us.
And we've got Kuni.
Yes, and we've got Kuni on the page, so he'll be helping us out as well. So guys, there's more than enough backup for you guys. So make sure you get chatting. But for me, I'm going to hand over to Cassie right now and say, take it away.
Yeah, now he's going to play on Facebook. I'm going to test you, Ty.
Oh,
I'm going to stand here. So are you, doll. Okay, here we go. All right, secondary thickening. All right, when we look at the transverse section of a dicotyledonous leaf, all right, remember dicot, okay, 2 cotyledons. They have a taproot system. They have various shaped leaves, and they are dorsiventral, so that the top doesn't look like the bottom, it's different. They have very definite veins that you can feel, and when you cut the stem, you can actually see little circles, and those little circles are annual rings. And those annual rings are due to secondary thickening. Okay, so if we look at a stem or a cross-section through a stem, you're going to see, now how do you tell the difference in a stem and a root, people? Just a little reminder is in the root, your xylem it looks like a little X. And your root hairs are going to be unicellular. In other words, one cell. Okay? That's what it'll look like in a root. Now, if we look at the stem, what do we see? First thing is we're going to have a multicellular epidermal hair. Okay? We're going to have a nice thick cuticle. Now remember, when this little stem starts to grow and we now start having secondary thickening, in here, in this epidermis and the collenchyma, we are going to find Cork Cambium. And the Cork Cambium is going to start producing... Where have you gone? The Cork Cambium will start to produce little cork cells, which will now start giving the bark a nice barky look to it. Okay? Then we have, because we've done the epidermis, the cuticle is only there when it is a young plant. And then we have the cortex, which is collenchyma and parenchyma. And we have the medullary rays, which is just as your little bundles radiate out, you'll have your bundles like that. So those are your little medullary rays. Sounds so lovely. All right, then we have the endodermis, and we have open vascular bundles. Now, open vascular bundles means that they are not surrounded by sclerenchyma, because when we have a monocotyledonous stem, you have the sclerenchyma, which surrounds each vascular bundle to give it an extra little bit of support and stop that stem from going like that. Okay? So open vascular bundles, and then, now, if we look at each vascular bundle, you have your pericycle over there, and then you have the phloem, you have the xylem, and the cambium in between. And you know what? This little cap over here is made of sclerenchyma. So it forms the sclerenchyma cap, and that you need to know. Make sure that you can label this baby. Alrighty, now, I found very pretty pictures on the web. Okay. And these pretty pictures are to show you exactly where your secondary thickening starts and finishes. So what we've got here is a little stem. And if you look right over at this area here, a little wedge has been cut out, and the wedge has now been enlarged over here. Don't worry about the fascicular cambium, the fusiform, and the ray initials. That's, you don't have to know. Not for here, for South Africa. But vascular cambium is what we are going to have around this area there. Okay, so that's your vascular cambium. Then the pith, always in the middle. And the pith is full of large air spaces, and in some stems, that's where the nutrients are stored, here in the pith. Now, if the cambium is here, all right, we are going to have the primary xylem there, okay, and the primary phloem there. So the phloem and the primary phloem and the primary xylem is the xylem and phloem that's the closest to the cambium. Right, we're not interested about the cortex or anything else. We're looking at the cambium, and next to the cambium as it grows, primary phloem, primary xylem. All right, it's like your nails when your nails grow. All right, this would then be, if the cambium sits at your nail bed, that would be your primary nail coming out. And this here would be your secondary nail, which is the old nail. Same thing here. So every time you have to do anything on secondary thickening, look at your hands. And that goes for the boys and the girls, because believe it or not, boys, even though your nails are short and Ty's biting his, you're going to have it growing. All right, now, thank heavens it grows, Ty.
True. That would be very unfortunate if it didn't.
Don't bite your nails.
I don't bite my nails.
You do. You just have. I caught him in the act. Caught him in the act.
That was my fingers clicking.
You're so gorgeous. Don't bite your nails. Okay, right, now, here we go. There's a little wedge cut out there. There's our little wedge. Now look at the growth. The growth is here. This structure here, there's our cambium. I'm going to try and draw it so that you can see it, so that you can distinguish it, because it's, I don't know how much color you can actually see here of the green. Okay, so there you go. There's your cambium. So we're going to have our primary xylem, all right? And then we have our, at least our secondary xylem here, and our primary xylem now gets pushed all the way that way. All right, it gets pushed back. So there's the primary, and there's the secondary. So we've now got secondary coming afterwards. And the same here. This is now started with the cork. Remember I told you about the Cork Cambium? Here's the Cork Cambium. And that Cork Cambium is now going to start producing cork. And that's the cork is what makes up the bark of a tree. Okay, so the cork that we find in bottles, you know, like wine bottles, etc., those corks are made from very special trees, but it's still from the cork and the bark. Okay, now the primary phloem sits here, and your secondary phloem is now here. So there's your secondary phloem, primary phloem, and here is your secondary xylem and your primary xylem. Gets pushed back. All right, I hope this is making sense. We move on. Okay, now we're looking at summerwood and springwood. Your summerwood, guess what? It's going to have xylem vessels that are like proper. Okay, nice, well-developed xylem vessels. Why? Because, well, clearly we're looking at areas where we have rainfall in summer and not winter, okay? But when the naming happened, that's what they assumed was like that for everywhere in the world. Actually, it isn't. If I just think of our country, in Cape Town, it rains and pours in winter. I can think of nothing worse than being cold and wet at the same time. So actually, Joburg's quite nice, hey?
Yes, it is. Cape Town's weather is just always just...
Yeah, but it's cold and wet.
Always,
I'd rather
yeah.
be hot and wet and cold and dry. But okay, we're not going to go there. To all the Cape Townians, mwah, shame. We feel sorry for you. You must come to Gauteng. You've got the sea. We've got the beautiful weather. Okay, now we take this little piece and we cut the wedge. We're going to have our summerwood and our springwood. Summerwood is going to have well-developed and large xylem, and your springwood not so much, eh? So this is how we go. We've got our Cork Cambium, and again you'll see this layer of cork has now got nice and big, which is making the cork and then the bark just over it, and then you've got your periderm right on the outside. Okay. Peri, by the way, remember it this way. When guys are in a submarine and they want to look out of the water, what do? They send up a periscope. So a peri is always way on the outside. Epi's on top. Peri would be if it like stuck out over here. All right, so periderm right on the outside. In fact, it's on top of the epiderm. Then we have here, now there's our secondary xylem, okay? There's our vascular cambium, there's our secondary phloem, and we have our Cork Cambium. And what has it done? It's divided into the summerwood and into the springwood. Okay? Springwood is from after winter time. It's going to be a bit compressed, but it's not going to be as wide and structurally as your summerwood would be. And I do this, and it irritates me when I do that, and I'm going to have to cut these nails, and I still haven't. All right, here's your secondary thickening. If you look here, this is called your heartwood. Okay, because it is in the middle. All right, it's now being compressed, and as it's being compressed, so it's and also the cells here are not functioning anymore, whereas this wood here is your sap wood. Why? Because this wood here is still functional. So here the xylem is still working. Okay, the xylem is still working, everything is still happy, and everything is still pumping water up the plant. All right, whereas this here is richer, it's darker, it's more compressed, the heartwood. Okay, just to show you this, if I cut it across, that's what we saw now, and you see those annual rings. So springwood, summerwood, all together. And here, what do we have? It's cut long ways. So look at this knot. English is a silly language. I mean, it's called a knot, but this knot over here is a side branch. So that would be a branch growing sideways. Okay, out of that, which they'll clearly cut off when they're cutting it straight. And here's another knot over there. But if you look at the shades of the wood, this gets darker and darker as it goes this way, and that is lighter. Sapwood, heartwood. Okay. Now we have a transverse section at the end of the second and the third summer, and the reason I put this on is I wanted to show you the difference. So primary phloem has now pushed all the way out, your primary xylem is all the way in, and as it moves, as your cambium, and I'm going to draw the cambium in purple around here, as the cambium is making new xylem and new phloem, it's pushing it outwards. All right, so your primary xylem is way in the middle, and your primary phloem will be way on the outside. Okay, so very important. I need for you to understand that. And here what we've done is we've said, right, that's the first year, and here is your second year. And what we've done is thrown in an actual third year as well. So there's first year, second year, third year. And your first year, second year, third year. And each time it's going to make a definite circle. So when you have a tree that's really old and you cut through it and you have a look and it's got like 1,000 different circles, then you know each circle, winter, summer, to make an annual ring. So if it's got 1,000 rings, it means that that little guy, that plant, big guy, okay, has been around for probably 500 years. A lot, a very long time. Do you think, Ty? Hey? Mm. If you have a look at some of those little bonsai trees, okay, you've got some of them. There's a nursery down the road from us that's got a bonsai trees that are that high, and they've got a stem that's that thick. It's just like stem. It looks like someone's melted wax to create this big fat stem, and then it's got these little leaves across the top. And the guy reckons that thing's about 800 years old. And you think, who chopped it out of the ground? Who did it to this plant? Who's looked after this poor little thing for the last 800 years? But there it is. Miracle of nature. Okay,
but
people.
Kath,
yeah.
Before we go into immunity, do you think we should take a quick little ad break?
I think we should. Do you think Belinda will let us?
I think so.
Do you think she's going to bring us some food in the meantime?
That'd be awesome.
Just think of what a chicken thing would be. I mean, we can't say what brands and the makes, but chicken with like American fried, crumbed,
crispy. I'm so hungry right now. That wasn't helpful. But guys, make sure you stick around because we'll be back straight after this break. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you had a nice little break. And you see, Kathy's making fun of me on the side. But my hand just is. I'm sorry. From now on, I'm just gonna present like this. Should I just present with my hands in my pockets?
No.
Well, anyway, you guys tell me. You guys can post it on the page if I just present it like this from now on.
Oh, he's a beautiful boy. Hey, no.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, I hope you had a nice little break and you're ready for this next session. Now, guys, you need to pay attention because this is a very important section. So, guys, make sure you have your pens, pads out, and you guys are making notes. So I'm going to hand over to Kathy. Kathy, take it away.
Okay. Now, I need for you to, in your heads, understand this, okay? And if you understand it, I promise you'll never have to learn it again, ever. So imagine, just pay attention now, and it's done. No learning ever again on this anyway. All right, so here we go. Antibiotics only work for bacterial infections. Antifungals only work for fungal infections. The secret is to figure out which one it is that you've got. Viruses, you can take as many antifungals and as many antibiotics as you like, it is not going to work. Why? Because viruses, they cannot find antibiotics or artificial antibiotics for a virus. They leave it up to your body to deal with it. Okay, so there are different ways. You get sick, you die. And we're left with Darwin and Darwin's theory of natural selection. Because if you're dead, hello, not going to help anyway. But if you live, your body makes, to fight that virus, it makes a substance called interferon. It interferes with the virus's ability to replicate. Okay? So, interferon is what we produce. And every time a virus gets in, and our body produces interferon to zap that virus, okay, it writes a little recipe. And, okay, well, it doesn't really, but this is the way to understand it. It writes a recipe. It is coded. And that is encoded into your nucleus, all right, into your genetic makeup. So the next time that virus comes and goes, hello, I'm here, come to visit, make you sick, because I'm a miserable little thing, and I love misery. Okay, your body says, not coming in here, because you know what? If you come in, I'm going to zap you. And that's exactly what it does, because the minute that virus gets in, your killer T cell says, we recognize this, but it's like the CIA. You know, when they have all these movies that we see and they have their little thing and the guy arrives at the airport and up comes the CIA picture and says, don't let this person buy an air ticket. Those kind of movies, well, hello, that's what happens is, gotcha. And immediately your temperature goes up and your body zaps that virus. You may feel lousy for a day or two, but you know what? You may feel not sick, but out of sorts. Your body's dealing with it. Okay. Now, that's cool because you have made your own interferon and you've done it. That's when you got sick. But now there's another way where your body says, okay, I'm cool. I'm living in a wonderful place. I'm certainly not, I stand almost zero risk, almost, of getting polio or dying of measles or dying of mumps. I mean, really, hello, this is the 21st century. Why? Because when you were a little baby, your mom took you for inoculations and your body built up a little recipe for the weak strain of the virus that was put into your body. Okay, and all of that is immunity. The only virus that's got the better of us is HIV, because the HIV virus decided, I am going to find a way to beat these guys. I am going to mutate, and I'm going to develop into something awesome. The best little virus that was ever created, because I'm going to make them think that I don't exist. And by the time they wipe their eyes out, I will have annihilated their entire army. And that is exactly what the HIV does. All right, so it's the only one that's got the better of us. The rest of them we can deal with. So here we go. Very, very important that you understand antibiotics don't work on viruses. They work on bacteria. Okay? You're going to say to me, wait, Kathy, when I've got flu and I go to my doctor prescribes antibiotics. Antibiotics must work on a virus. And I'm going to say, no. Your doctor is providing you with antibiotics because whenever you have a viral infection, your bacteria that are normally under control or that your body can normally sort out that will have no effect on you whatsoever. They are opportunistic, the bacteria. And they see, check this little guy out, because his or her immune system is down, 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 because they're trying to fight off this virus. Let's get in there, guys. Let's go have a party in the lungs. Let's go have then you end up with pneumonia. Or let's go have a party in the bronchi. We end up with bronchitis. Okay? Let's get into that larynx, and we end up with laryngitis. You know what? Just check this out. Up the eustachian tube, which you'll learn about next year, from the throat into the ear. And guys, let's have a party here, because here we can give them a middle ear infection. Yay! That is what the bacteria do. So when your doctor gives you an antibiotic because you're seeing them because you've got flu, they're actually checking out and ensuring that those secondary infections are squashed before they really get bad. All right, so antibiotics only work on bacteria. They do not, there is no effect on viral infections. Okay, then viruses are controlled in two ways. One is prevention, so make sure you don't get the viral infection, and two, by immunity. Let's get immune to it. So immunity is the ability to resist infection, okay? Whatever it is. I mean, often I've heard people say, oh my gosh, he's immune to emotion. Using the word immune there is wrong, because immune means that you are immune to an infection of some sort. All right, now, prevention. So how do we prevent it? Well, first of all, someone or something gets sick, put them on their own. Isolate them. Make them on their own. Okay? So, put them away. Why? Because they can't spread it. Think about this. If I live on my own and I get flu, can I give it to anyone else? No, only if I'm stupid enough to get on the bus or get on the train and go to work and I infect everyone that was sitting around me, or when parents send their kids to school. Okay, and these little guys and girls go to school and they are sneezing and spewing germs all over everyone in class, and everyone ends up getting sick. When the people are sick, they should stay at home. If I live on my own, I can't infect anyone else. All right, so isolate. Then, when you cough or sneeze, put your hand in front of your mouth, or you, better still, use a tissue. So you sneeze into the tissue, so all your sputum and your snot and your mucus and all the stuff that comes out of your mouth when you sneeze goes into the tissue and you throw it away. If you put in your hand, well, that's second best. But guess what? You now go touch everything. And especially if you're at work, you touch the fridge, you touch your desk, you touch your friends' desks, you touch the glass and the kettle and the milk. And my worst are escalators. Have you watched how many people put their hands on the escalator as they're going up, and then they wipe their faces, and you think, all those germs are now sitting all around your mouth, okay, or your face, or your partner's face, because you now touch their hair and their faces, and you've just got all those germs from everyone who's just come up the escalator.
Yes.
Same with money, people. Money's the dirtiest thing ever.
In more ways than one.
Well, yeah.
But that's getting all complicated.
That's a philosophical discussion, hun, which we can have when we get food from Belinda.
Exactly.
Okay, but money, especially, don't handle it. Don't love it and touch it and fold it and stick it anywhere. Take that money and drop it in your purse. So when you open, take it out. I know guys have their wallets, but the same principle applies, because it is dirty, 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 dirty. All right, so when you cough, sneeze, either into your hand if you have to, but make sure you wash your hands regularly, or a tissue.
But Kathy, didn't you also say you need to sneeze into your elbow?
Yeah, we said that as well. If I'm going to sneeze, you go, achoo. So you're in the corner, here. And if you're in the corner here, well, you're not going to touch anyone with it. And even if I do, and I go and I've gone, achoo, and I come like this, I put my arm around Ty, I'm touching his back. The chances of those germs coming to his beautiful face
are slim to none.
Yeah. But if it's on my hand and I go, oh darling, oh you sweet little
and then
thing.
I'm going to end up in a week going...
Or I'm holding his hand, like you boys and girls love to do, and all those germs are going all over the show, and I've just, and I've spat all over.
And then I'm going to go and I'm going to eat.
And we're holding hands, and then, no. Don't use your hands unless you really have to, but using your hand is better than doing it like into someone's face. So, worst case scenario, hand. Best case scenario, sneeze into your elbow or a tissue, people, and you don't spread the germs. Okay, it's not like love. We spread love. We do not spread germs. Okay, then do not touch an open, bleeding cut or wound. Anything that is open and bleeding. It doesn't matter if it is your mom, your dad, your granny, your aunt, uncle, brother, sister. Do not touch. If you've got gloves, great. If you don't have gloves, be very careful not to touch. Not for any other reason other than to be hygienic. Because you've got germs on you. You don't want to transfer those germs to a person who's already cut and sore, okay? But you also don't want to get the blood, which may be infected with whatever we don't know, onto you. So just be hygienic, okay? It's just good hygiene practices. And use vaccines to introduce passive immunity. Now that is actually giving it all away, because vaccines give you passive immunity. You didn't get sick, okay? What they do is they give you a weak strain and they force you to make a recipe. So here we go. And you've got to know the difference. So, know the difference. How are we going for time there, Ty?
I think we're good. We have another 4 minutes or so.
And then we have?
Then I think it's the end of the show. No, it's middle of the show.
Yeah, then we've still got one more session. Hey?
Then we have one more session.
Okay, so active immunity, it's active. We are physically going to do something to look after ourselves. So think of it as active. Okay, if I play a game of, okay, let's say I ski, I'm doing it. But if I'm sitting in my couch and I'm watching skiing, and I turn the aircon down and I pretend I'm there, it's not real, it's passive. So active. Active immunity, we call it natural. Acquired immunity. We actively go and get that immunity naturally. All right, no artificial anything, it is natural. So, when we have this virus, which is an antigen, or we can call it a pathogen, it's something that's going to hurt us. It's something that doesn't belong in our body. It's something that is coming from somewhere else and invading us. It's an antigen and a pathogen. A pathogen causes harm. An antigen doesn't belong there. Okay? It enters our body, we produce a substance called interferon. All right, this is only when we have a viral infection, not a bacterial infection, a viral infection. Why? Because the body picks up that, hang on, this guy shouldn't be here. This is a baddie. It doesn't belong here, and we then produce interferon. Okay? Interferon prevents the virus from reproducing, allowing the antibodies enough time to destroy the virus. Okay, so clearly, interferon is part of our immune system. The production of the interferon causes the body temperature to get high, okay? And that is why when you are sick and you have a viral infection or a bacterial infection for that matter, your temperature goes up. It's your killer T cells trying to do things and sort things out. But also, remember, viruses contain proteins. They have the protein capsule. Bacteria also contain proteins, and when the temperature is high, proteins will denature. When the temperature is low, they become inactive. So how do we sterilize things? We boil them. Okay? Why? Well, high temperatures break down the proteins. So your body says, hold on, let's lift this temperature up. Also, it's in the process of trying to destroy this bad thing and make more interferon. You follow? So it's getting those killer T cells ready for action. Temperature goes up. When the body will be immune to a specific antigen. Now, a lot of people turn around and they say, hold on, I had an injection this winter to stop me from getting flu. We call it a flu injection. Very simple. I went and got a flu injection. And I had my children all have flu injections, and all my friends had flu injections. Yay, hooray. You know what? They end up with flu. And they say, ha, those injections didn't work. They were a waste of money. They were a waste of time. They didn't work. I'm sick. You know why? Because there are, for every flu injection, which is normally to give you a weak strain of 1, 2, maybe 3, at the absolute outside 4 types of flu viruses, there are another 1 million flu viruses out there which you've never had, okay? And you end up being infected with some other one of those 1 million that are out there, and not the 4 that could kill you. What those flu injections are for the ones that are really, really, really fatal. The ones where people actually die. They wake up and you say, my gosh, he was only 35 and he just dropped down dead. He'd had flu, you know, shame. And then he was gone. Yeah, because that virus was so bad. So those are the ones we get inoculated against. Those are the ones that we get the flu injections against. The one that you pick up off the banisters and off the railings and stuff, those are not going to kill you, because the people, if they had real flu, they wouldn't have been touching those things in the first place. They'd be lying somewhere very ill. So, Ty?
Yes, and on that very, very gross note, guys, make sure you stick around and make sure you get those questions in for this last segment. Make sure you keep posting on the page so we can get those questions to Kathy so she can help you guys out. But from now, guys, we'll see you after this break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you had a nice little break there. I hope you guys are nice and ready for this next session. Hope you guys are paying attention. You've got your pens, your pads out, and you're ready to make notes, as I always tell you to do. Kathy, we ready to go?
Cool.
Alrighty, take it
away.
Hi,
guys. Okay, this diagram we're going to put up for you, but it just gives you an idea of the various types of viral infections. Ones that you'll understand, remember, probably have had while you have been growing up, okay, when you were little and grown up, your herpes simplex in your eyes, you've got mumps, flu, influenza is the proper name for flu, respiratory, no, you wouldn't have heard about that. Everyone knows about SARS. That was when we have pictures of everybody walking around with what are those surgical masks on, so they didn't breathe other people's different types of viruses. You got the polio virus. It's a very horrible one to have. What else? I'm just looking here quickly. Herpes simplex, that's when people get sexual herpes. And then we also have HIV. Now, something else, if you can, I wonder if they can actually just zone in here. This human papilloma virus, that virus, they found, can be linked to cervical cancer. And they can give shots for it, but not just to the women, to guys too. And you think, hold on, guys don't have cervixes last time we looked. No, they don't. But guys can actually transfer that virus to their sexual partners, to their female sexual partners. Okay, so, and then they can end up with cervical cancer. So people, please check out when you go to the clinic next time, or to your gynecologist or your doctor, find out about the papilloma virus and how you can get inoculated against it, because cervical cancer is not a nice thing to have, and especially as you have to have chemo and you end up losing your hair, and it's a yucky experience. So don't go there. Try and stop it now while you're young and make sure that it just doesn't happen. And guys, it includes you as well. Go and have those injections. Okay? Just going up here, we've got rubella, which is German measles. We have measles. Here, the human papilloma virus, same thing. Smallpox. Very few people get smallpox nowadays. Just again, herpes virus, we've got A, B, C, D, and E. Those are all the different types, hepatitis, all the different types of hepatitises. But your A and your B are really bad, and you can get inoculated for that as well, except it's quite expensive. Okay, herpes simplex, that's in the mouth, it's when you get cold sores. Rhinovirus makes your nose all inflamed, etc. And yeah, there's another measles there. We got rabies, encephalitis. Just by the way, just talking about encephalitis, there's a meningitis virus, because meningitis can be, some forms of meningitis are bacterial, and some which they can treat with an antibiotic. That's great. But if it's viral meningitis, apparently it's really nasty. And here in Gauteng, there's a huge spate of viral meningitis going around. So be careful if you get any kind of really bad headache. I'm talking about a really bad headache, not just a dehydration headache or a hangover headache, a real bad headache. And you can't tip your chin onto your chest. Can you do that, Ty? Mm-hmm. See, the neck is loose enough. But when you've got meningitis, the neck area swells, and you can't do this. It's too tense, it's too stressed, it's definitely too painful. Go and see a doctor, please, 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 because it's out there and it's really revving, and people are infecting each other. Okay, so I've got so little time. Any discussions there? Any questions?
Wait, there is actually one. Tripler wanted to find out, why are they called annual rings for trees?
Annual, because they have one ring that gets formed. So it's one set of growth by the cambium to make new xylem inwards and phloem outwards. So to make one new set, and then when that's during spring and summer, and then autumn and winter, it makes another set. So late summer, it'll make another set. So the two together give you annual rings. They're rings that are made once a year. All right, but the two together make one ring. So annual ring. Anything else?
I think that is about it for now.
Because
but if I find any, I'll let you know.
Cool. Annual means once a year. So it happens annually, once a year. All right, now, this is just a diagram of what interferon actually looks like. You've got this protein core and the chemical structures around. It's quite a pretty one. Okay, here we had interferon and the formation of the killer cells. Here's the RNA, and remember the RNA, you've got the surface receptors. There's your RNA, and it copies it, and it goes and it writes the information onto chromosome 5. The same thing here. The viral infection comes along, and again it infects the little cells, and what happens is the RNA will write a code. There's your RNA code. Okay, the RNA writes the little code, and the code gets put here specifically onto chromosome 5. So what do we have? The messenger RNA picks up the interferon, and it carries the interferon where it needs to go. So what that does is it directs the interferon to the area that is now infected. Okay, if we look at now people, active immunity was naturally acquired. We actively make the interferon and we write the recipe against the infection, all right? That virus, that specific virus. Now, if I have a recipe to make chicken, all right, I can't use that recipe to make a beef roast. It's not going to work. Or to make mashed potatoes, because the recipe is for chicken, not for mashed potatoes. For mashed potatoes, I must have another recipe. And you think, has this woman lost her mind? Does she think she's on MasterChef? No, I don't. What I do, though, is what I am trying to do is to try and help you to understand. There is a specific recipe for one virus, and then a specific recipe for another virus. Now, if a third virus comes in, this recipe and this one are not going to work. I need to make a specific set of antibodies, which is what interferon actually is, a specific set of antibodies to fight that virus. So A, B, hello, I'm buggered. I need to find one for C. And I can only make the antivirus antibody for that virus C once it's come in. So it is active immunity and it is naturally acquired. My body makes the antibody. Okay, now, this is passive. So just think of the terms. Passive immunity, and it is artificial acquired immunity, so AAI. Why? It's passive. I didn't actively have to make that virus, but somebody helped me to do it. And that somebody, by helping me, I artificially acquire that virus. That virus is put into me after it has been made weak, after it's been put and processed so that it can't hurt me. And that, people, is done because of biotechnology. So when we all sit back and say, ooh, we don't like anything that's been
logically.
My mouth is getting dry. Technologically made, and that's where we get all those genetically modified foods and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, if it wasn't for biotechnology, we wouldn't have this, and it's a problem. So, a weak strain of the virus or its toxin is introduced into the body. What happens? The body says, hold on a minute. What is this guy doing here? And the body will start to produce antibodies. Okay? And you don't get anything other than maybe a slightly elevated temperature. And as any person who's had a baby you've a family member that's gone to the clinic to get a little shot, all right? And this toxin or weak strain introduced into the body will know. Slight temperature rise, but other than that, no issues. You're infected with a specific virus, your antibodies are going to produce fast and they're going to kill it, and we end up, it's all done through inoculations, and we then have the recipe. When that thing comes into our bodies, we go, pop, 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 and it's out, done, and we don't die from the disease. Dearest?
Okay, so now she handed it to me, and this is the part when I say, guys, I hope you had fun, you made notes, and you're paying attention on the immunity, like I was, and she's pulling my hair out of my face. Oh, thank you. But guys, make sure you get on the page and you chat. But from us, we're gonna say goodbye and see you next time.